Welcome to the Festival of Entrepreneurs, recorded live at the NEC in Birmingham. Over the next few minutes, you'll hear from some of the most incredible founders, investors, and business leaders who joined us this year.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at the Festival of Entrepreneurs. I'm Chris Charlton, founder and CEO of Namaste Management, and with me is my business partner and our CEO, Rob Peopall. We've also got Craig at the back taking some extra secret video, and the rest of the team are out in the exhibition hall doing their thing. Today, we're going to be talking through a guide to help you navigate acquisitions effectively. We're going to cover key steps from start to finish in about 20-25 minutes, leaving enough time for Q&A at the end. If you do want a copy of the slides, just come and find us on our stand at G16, and we'll get you a digital copy if they were of interest to you. So let's dive in. As a quick intro, I've got about 30 years in the consultancy business, serving on leadership teams in about 10 industry sectors, and I've specialized in M&A, business transformation, and major program delivery. Rob brings similar depth, focusing on business diagnostics, M&A, technology, and change. And together with our global team at Namaste, we help ScaleUps turn bold strategies into sustainable success. We also specialize, in addition to M&A, in strategic performance improvement diagnostics and delivering transformation with our clients. So, acquisitions. Acquiring a business is clearly a high-stakes move for any scale-up. It can fuel massive growth if it's done well, but if it's done poorly, it can have the opposite effect. It can cause major setbacks. So the idea of this little step-by-step guide is to be your playbook and roadmap to help minimize the risks and maximize the value, whether it's your first deal or doing it beyond. And just out of interest, just looking at our audience here, quick show of hands, has anyone here done an acquisition? Okay, we've got 3 experts in the middle of the room. That's good. Oh, there's one over there. Hey, Brian. Has anyone here been acquired? All right. Now, quick show of hands as well. Has anyone described the experience as good? One of them? Out of how many? 4. Well, 25% return, that's not bad. These are projects that are inherently complex and difficult to get right, and it's largely down to the people side of that challenge, right? Okay, so step by step. Step 1, start with the fundamentals. Why are you acquiring a prospective target business? You've got to be really clear about your strategic rationale. Make sure you write it down. Define your intent, which will help you avoid distractions as you're proceeding through the whole acquisition process end to end. On the slide, some clear common motives for doing acquisitions. It could be market expansion, product extensions, capability gains like technology or talent, customer growth, efficiency gains through synergy. If you get into the world of M&A, you're going to get really familiar with the word synergy, particularly if you're seeking bank funding. They will be looking at your cost synergy case for sure, or it's all about competitive positioning. Quick tactical tip, make sure you develop a clear acquisition brief, got clear objectives, clear criteria and metrics, and also a decent risk analysis. What are you expecting to go potentially horribly wrong, and what are you going to do about it? Getting buy-in from your stakeholders, all your stakeholders, is really essential. It might just be the idea of 1 or 2 members of your business, but you need alignment across your whole business when you're doing this. So be clear about alignment across the leadership team in your business, not just the founders of the business. And that's really, really essential. Step 2, define, build, and equip your team. Having in-house M&A professionals is a luxury. Not all businesses will have that. What do you do when you don't have that? Well, firstly, you need to blend the internal expertise that you do have from finance, from legal, from operations, from HR, from technology. Cross-functional team is what you will need in order to map out the journey for an acquisition quite clearly. Ensure you appoint a deal sponsor. That is usually the CEO, but it doesn't have to be. And appoint an experienced M&A project manager. And the word experience is clear. Not any project manager can do an M&A project. Always have that in the back of your mind. Always remember to engage your external professionals early. That includes your accountants, lawyers, advisors, and of course consultants if you're use that kind of capability to bolster your in-house team for doing it. Define roles clearly. If you don't do so, like most things in business, you will end up with potential chaos. So define those roles super clearly, and that will definitely help you when you get onto it. I'm going to hand over to Rob for the next section. So Rob, over to you, mate.
Thanks, Chris. Great to see everybody here today. So next up, the first thing is we've got to be really clear about who we're targeting and why. Okay? Don't go chasing random deals. You've got to make sure that you're setting clear strategic filters around things like the sector. Is it a good sector fit for you? Is the business stage at the right stage for you? Is it a distressed company that you see as an opportunity, or a mature business that's going to add scale to your organization? Is the geography fit right for you? What's your preference as far as that's concerned? Will the ownership and leadership cultures merge well together? And then from a synergy point of view, are you crystal clear about the synergies that you're looking to achieve from the deal? And this is making sure that you get it right and making sure that it aligns with your aspirations for achieving the deal. To help you get there, it's important that you build a scorecard for evaluating the deal options that you're looking at, and you're clear as well on your investment thesis and how you're going to realize your synergies over that 18 to 36 month time frame that you should be thinking about. The next thing is to think about how you source your targets. So how do you proactively go out and find the right targets to look for? Well, first things first, you've got to start with the quality of the research that you're doing, but also use networks, tap into brokers for information, sign up with associations, trade associations, to find the right fit for the organization you're looking to acquire. Go to conference events, be proactive about outreach, and it's all about trying to find the right fit for your organization to acquire. Make sure you prepare a professional pitch deck so you can explain your value to the sellers. Because remember, you're selling yourselves to them as well as acquiring them. So remember, especially with founder-owner and led businesses, respect their emotional ties to the baby that they've built. Yeah, the blood, sweat and tears that have gone into building that business up is not something they will look to relinquish easily. So you've got to reassure them that you're the right partner to work with going forwards. The other key thing is to stay objective as you go through this process. Don't get carried away by the opportunity. Make sure you're considering the facts carefully. Don't lose sight of those facts. So make sure you're assessing the revenue fit mix, the profitability of the business, the cultural fit, and the risks that you're identifying as you go through your research and due diligence processes. Use valuation techniques like EBITDA, multiples, DCF, discounted cash flow techniques, and also precedents. What else has been happening in the marketplace? So there's similar deals that you can use as a basis for negotiating the best deal possible. Make sure that you model alternate scenarios and that you adjust for hidden costs as well. Next up is the letter of intent, and that really sets out the deal framework. So it covers things like the valuation basis, the structure for the deal, the payment process and timelines, and also the exclusivity that's being granted or not. Make sure you include a binding exclusivity clause to safeguard your due diligence efforts. Because again, you're putting time, effort and money into doing that due diligence, and having that binding exclusivity clause provides you with some protection. You've got first call on the opportunity basically, and it's protecting the investment you're making from a due diligence perspective. Then we get into due diligence, and this is critical. This is your defense against doing a bad deal. So you should be looking at the financials, you should be looking at the legal aspects, operations, HR culture, tech, and also the commercial aspects of the deal. One of the areas that's often quite thorny and difficult to deal with is the property management and facility side of things, because of the different penalty clauses and sublet clauses that exist. So looking at those issues carefully and at a detailed level is critical, because the devil is absolutely in the detail, and that's why the due diligence piece is so crucial. You make sure you use a tracker for accountability, so you can manage the due diligence process as efficiently as possible. From a funding perspective, make sure that you choose your financing options wisely. Look at things like equity options, look at debt, look at earnouts, vendor financing, and any combination of a hybrid approach using those above methods. Make sure you take the time to model alternate scenarios, including integration costs and liquidity, needs to maintain flexibility, so that you arrive at a balanced model and approach that suits your needs. You should negotiate with trust as you go through final negotiations, but equally it's critical to use an experienced legal expert to draft and review revisions to the sales and purchase agreements, making sure that they're right in terms of the warranties that are being given, the indemnities, the non-compete clauses, and also transitional service agreements if they're required. From an from a legal completion point of view at close, make sure you're handling approvals, transfers and escrow agreements if they're required, which is often around things like software assets that are being transferred as part of a deal. Make sure there's no loose ends left. Make sure you've got the right contracts in place. You've looked at the intellectual property transition and transfer, and you've looked at the employee transition as well, so that's seamless between one organisation and another. From an integration point of view, this is where the value is won or lost. So post-close, once the deal's done, this is where the magic happens or doesn't. Make sure you get off to a fast start to keep the teams energized and enthusiastic about doing the deal. Make sure that you launch a day one plan for communications. You get your integration program formed quickly with the right memberships involved from the right work streams across your business organization. Make sure you appoint a strong and experienced integration lead. Make sure you get the right monitoring mechanisms in place to make sure that you track the KPIs that you're going to measure your success by, and more importantly, the synergy opportunities. Make sure that you're realizing those and managing them from start to finish over the life cycle of the program. And with that, I'd like to hand you back to Chris.
Thanks, Rob. Right. Integration, as Rob's pointed out, is the tough bit. So you need to plan it from the start. On the screen here are some key lessons, and this is filtered down 7 key things to remember, and this comes from our experience of doing well over 100 acquisitions. You learn something new on every single deal that you do. There are no 2 deals that are 100% alike. So key things to remember: make seeking and delivering value the heart and soul of your whole project. Every work stream that's looking at integration needs to understand how are they going to contribute to the value that you're trying to extract from the deal. Complexity, understanding how hard an integration project is going to do. The size of the transaction doesn't really give you a good guide as to how difficult it's going to be to do. So we developed our own tool for assessing complexity of integration, and that looks at 12 different factors that underpin complexity, because that gives you a really good readout on the likely risk of the project, but also the skill level of resources that you're going to need in order to deliver certain different component parts of integration successfully. Integration costing. The number of CFOs I've had conversations with that have fundamentally missed about 70% of integration cost, and as a consequence of that, they've had to go back to the board when I've given them the advice that these are all the other areas of integration costs you're going to have to spend. It is really easy to underestimate your one-off integration spend. But how do you know whether you right-sized it? Of all the metrics and measures that are possible, we found one that is particularly useful, and it's the one-off integration cost in relation to how much synergy you're going to deliver on an annualized basis. And this ratio between the two things, if you're between 0.8 and 1.2 times as a ratio, you know you're in the right ballpark. It's possible to be less than that, it's possible to be more than that, but there's usually a very good reason for that, and that's usually linked to your integration strategy and the complexity of your technology landscape. 4 pillars to think about. This is about making sure you've got a really good understanding of what the combined business is going to look like, how it's going to feel, its target operating model, its governance structures, where the synergies are coming from, and indeed having a really solid and robust approach to change management. You are fundamentally about to embark on a journey that's going to change potentially everything about how people work, who they report to, processes they follow, technology they use, facilities or offices that they work out of. Changing all of that landscape all at once needs really effective change management. Focus on people. 9 out of 10 reasons that M&A projects fail are related to people factors. That is either the politics and the relationships break down, and it becomes a very them and us scenario, and the inability to create and foster a single team, or it could be just a simple lack of capable resources to deliver the integration journey. The vast majority of integration projects, most people that work on it have busy day jobs. You've got to free up enough capacity in the business to be able to do integration on top of business as usual. IMO approach, really, really important to invest in a decent integration management office that manages the air traffic control of the whole project and all of the interdependencies right across the whole project of work, and make sure that you've got decentralized decision-making structure, because what you don't want to do is all of the decisions bubbling up to the senior team when actually you want that devolved and decisions made much lower down in the organization. So it just saves an awful lot of time. Risk management is a given. Being really, really good and proactive about managing risk, really essential. On the right side of the screen are just some quick success criteria based on the experience of delivering not just M&A projects, but projects generally. So fast start, aspirational targets, a real focus on execution, all really important stuff. The flip side of that, of course, is what are the mistakes that often get made? And you try and boil it down into just a few to remember to avoid. So no clear strategic rationale, overpaying on assumptions rather than facts. It's really easy to do. Ignoring the people and culture components of your projects, skimping on due diligence. The number of projects I've been involved in, we can do due diligence on a shoestring, doesn't give you the readout you need to fundamentally understand what's the nature of the target business that you're buying. You've got to get that done right. Underestimating integration. It is usually underestimated. So making sure that you're really thoughtful about the integration journey ahead. And delayed funding. Just that failure to secure funding early is quite clearly one of the options that you want to avoid. A quick checklist. I'm not going to walk through that. We've been through most of that already. But checklists in integration and M&A generally, get used to them. They are massively useful if you've got the right ones. We have lots in our tool set, of course. So To conclude, there is no question, certainly for you gents, you've been through it, you know what it's like. Acquisitions fundamentally test your leadership. Getting your arms around the complexity and the multifaceted nature of these projects, it is a real test of leadership. Success comes from discipline and focus on value, and if you do that, this can potentially turn your scale up into a successful market leader. And remember, the win is in integration, not just the deal. For more, you're very welcome to visit our website. We've got a whole series of M&A thought leadership articles, which you can access. They're all free, which is the good news. We also have made available a lot of our IP in terms of how we do M&A projects successfully. That's available in our online shop. You can just visit that and buy that. So if you want an integration playbook, even a carve-out playbook, and lots of other tools and assets readily available. You can find us at G16. Come and talk to us if you want to know more about any of the topics, or if you want a copy of the slides, just come and find us. We'll happily pass that out. Suffice to say, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate that.
Thanks for watching this special episode from the Festival of Entrepreneurs. Our mission is simple: to help founders and business owners grow faster, think bigger, and take action. And if you were part of the event, thank you for joining us and being part of the community. And if you missed it, don't worry. We'll be back with even more ideas, inspiration, and opportunities to help you take your business to the next level. You can find out more and register for future events at festivalofentrepreneurs.co.uk.